And before we get started, let's find out what's going on in downtown Marana this morning. We're going to throw it to David Samarano.
Let's do that, right? All right, first we'll talk about the traffic here. And there's nothing serious going on that we see. There is some slowing. You're looking at some delays, 6 to 10 minutes. And if we zoom in here to our area of the woods, it looks like there was an incident on Pitcher Rocks Road, but that has cleared. Oh, there it is. Let's see what's going on here. This is at Abra Valley. Yeah, so we're way out there. It's a unknown injury, but no worries on that. And the weather, so it's going to start heating up pretty soon, guys.
Summer's here.
Yes, so today's going to be 92. We're looking at the mid-90s rest of the week. Saturday is going to be 88, Sunday 91. But next week, there are 2 days in particular we're watching. Wednesday and Thursday may hit triple digits, so be ready for that. Just wanted to share that with you.
First of about 130 of them.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Wednesday. Wednesday's a great day next week.
We got our guy. We got our guy in the house this morning. Real quick, Scott Robb is up in Colorado, graduating SR2 and his young lady friend. So he'll be back next week. But we got an awesome pinch hitter today. Welcome, Anton.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
Good, man. Great.
Another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise.
You've done this 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times with us. I've known Anton since he had no gray.
Yeah, now my gray matches my shirt. Look at that beard. Hey, we're all right.
Good to have you. Hey, and thanks, David, for the update. There was a pretty nasty wreck out there last night on Ina, the exit. No one, I don't think, was seriously hurt, but that was a bad wreck. Okay, local Marana. I want to talk real quick. Tammy threw this at me this morning, right as I walked over to get in the studio with you. She said, talk about Anton's farm.
Okay.
So let's talk about Anton's farm a little bit.
All right.
Anton and Jennifer's.
Yeah.
She probably does most of the work, doesn't she?
Well,
Really?
yeah, she definitely does a fair bit. I mean, we live there, we work there, and I'm fortunate enough to do the chores in the morning, right? So I feed about 5 pens, and then she gets off of work after working a full day for Cal Portland Cement Company, and then she gets to spend those several minutes, well, let's call it about an hour, feeding the same 5 pens along with about 12 others. There's about 100 animals out there, so I get the easy part.
You got a little bit. You got pigs, you got cows, you got goats, you got horses, you got what else you got?
Well, no. So no goats, and I say this.
You had some though?
Negative. I say this all the time. Jennifer wants goats, and I say that is a hard no. That is a hard no.
Maybe that's it. She's talked about it so much, I just assumed there were 30 or 40 of them out there.
No, negative. If you can't bolt it down, a goat will destroy it. So no. The pigs do a pretty good job of tearing stuff up. But we have we breed pigs, and we sell to like the Pima County and Pinell County FFA and 4-H kids to show pigs, and then we also breed an off-season litter that we sell to people that are looking for. We like to call it the forever freezer instead of the forever home, right? So it's going to be organic, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, clean protein, and then of course we got chickens. We eat a lot of eggs, so I mean. Dogs, cats, kids. Yeah. We got all kinds of animals out there at the ranch.
You just donated a pig to the Marana Food Bank just here in the last week or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Hey, we do. We try to stay involved, right? I mean, local Marana. It's cool that I'm here talking on local Marana, but I actually believe in Marana, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a business here, but. I was fortunate enough to be part of the Marana ribbon cutting. You know, we were able to do the signs for the Marana Food Bank, and so when we were talking, I asked him. I said, "Hey, you know, if I could donate a pig a year, would that be helpful?" And he's like, "You know, that could feed our entire needs for 1 week." And that was based on a regular size animal. Well, we gave him a little bigger animal this first go round. So I mean, that's kind of cool to think about. Hey, you know, that's gonna.
You fed a whole bunch of people in the Marana area. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and then I was at this really cool dinner the other night with some very important people in my life. You know, there might be, Clint Peek and David Samarano and Mayor Ed Honey and
Tammy Peek was there.
Well,
she's pretty important.
No, well, I was actually going to save the best for last, but thank you. I was going to put it right there with Jennifer, my better half.
Yeah.
But we also had Edgar Soto there, and Edgar Soto was explaining to me what his role is in the community and what he does, and we actually might be able to build a partnership together, which will then allow for reduced cost on processing of animals through the culinary department. Mm-hmm. He's going to see if we can work that out, but if that does happen, then that's just going to be another potential gratis opportunity for the donations that we make from the ranch.
Which leads us right into one of the things we wanted to talk about, or I wanted to talk about with you, and it's relationships. How important are they?
Oh, man.
Here we are supporting 88 Crime, which David is a member of the board with Jessica Mose.
And thank you very much for that, David.
And Babette and some wonderful people doing some incredible work in our community. And at a dinner, an awards function, you were able to connect with a good friend of mine that I've known as actually longer than I've known you by a little bit. And I never thought about the connection that they might be able to, with the Pima County Community College having a culinary department. They're training butchers.
Yeah.
Which you have a need for on a regular basis.
100%.
Yeah, how cool is that?
There's a very unique aspect to what we do out at our place, in that we don't sell pork. That is not what our breeding license allows for. We are licensed through the Arizona Ag Department. We do have a brand, a premise ID, which allows us to do that. We have our own brand, but we sell the live animals to families, or if we donate the live animals, and then it's up to you, the consumer, to decide which butcher or processing facility you'd like to use. But if we can kind of facilitate that with this this group, and we're also helping the school, teaching these butchers, giving them an opportunity to maybe more animals, more access, more training, more learning, and then there's a financial benefit to my end users, then man, that's great.
Yeah, that's great. Our buddy that was sitting between you and David, Ed Honey, my friend, your friend, our friend. That's a word he and I use all the time. Mm-hmm. Every conversation, probably that word relationship gets mixed in there.
Yeah.
And I've gone so far, I've boiled it down. Relationships are the most important aspect of life. Your relationship with God first.
I agree.
Your relationship with the people that you do life with, and your relationship with the world around you. In that order, by the way.
I like it.
Is that not what drives the whole thing?
Well, that's what should drive the whole thing, unfortunately.
Well, it does one way or another.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at the positive aspect of that, but one way or another, it does drive it all. And I mean, I like to keep things simple.
Yeah.
The old KISS method.
Oh yeah.
I'll say it out loud. Keep it simple, stupid.
Absolutely. Military taught me that.
And if I can break it down into a 3-step process, then it makes it pretty easy to remember what my MO is, if you will.
Yeah.
Keep it straight with God as best you can.
Yeah. Well, he already knows if you're not keeping it straight with him. So I mean, you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. We could run off in your digital church real quick, but hey, a real shout out. Do you know we're almost at 100,000 followers on YDC?
God bless.
We're at 98,100.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, in such a short amount of time. I mean, God is really good, right?
Yeah, at Christmas we had 10,000 followers.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so we've gained 88,000 followers in
5.5 months.
Yeah, 5 months. I want to talk about local business. I want to talk about your local business. Again, the relationship part of it is how we know each other.
Yeah.
You and I have been in the same plaza. I got here in May 3rd. We just celebrated 16 years in the bakery. And you got here in August, September.
We
I think
signed
you opened
the
in
lease
October, right?
We opened to the public October 2nd. We got to the plaza April of 2008, but we were just in there kind of building stuff. So
we were actually here because I was having we got licensed the 3rd of May.
Okay, yeah.
I remember it clearly like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And the 5 of us, my mother, my wife, my children, and Tammy, said a little prayer over the mixer. It must have worked because 16 years later we're still in there.
Look at you. And, man,
but
our kids were little, man. Our kids were
You
babies.
were little.
Yeah. I know. I had no gray hair then. Yeah,
you were
that's a
younger
fact.
then. I've mentioned this to you several times. You were younger then than both of my children are now.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. My daughter was in a car seat.
yeah. And I saw her Sunday. Did she tell you?
No, she did not.
Saw her Sunday at church.
Okay, good.
She come right in, bolting in to give me a hug. Yeah, she was throwing folks around to get to Tammy and I.
I love it.
And my mother was right there.
I love it.
I tell people I've known her longer. I've known her since I was way taller than her, and
Yeah.
she's actually taller than I am now.
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
She almost looks at me eye to eye. Almost.
Yeah, she's just turned 17.
Yep.
Yeah, what a sweetie. I did hear from your son last night. I posted. I don't know if you saw it. Something a little derogatory, subtly, but a little derogatory about Cowboy fans, and he gave me a boo.
Oh, that's okay. Haters got to hate, man. One thing I will say, and this kind of ties all the way into your relationships, but haters, very specifically, no. But I mean, you said you threw a little derogatory comment, but what that reminds me,
I didn't throw a comment. I threw a meme up.
And let me say this very clearly to everybody that's listening. All of these cowboy haters, because that's what we call them, cowboys, and we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, folks. There's something in marketing that's very, very unique. It's okay. No, I love it, David. I love it. But here.
My mistake. I'm so sorry.
No. You're
Wrong
good.
button.
No, you're good. You're good. But hey, listen.
I was trying to hit the air horn. But all right.
Hey, I'm about to get to something, and,
All right, let's
and the
do it.
punchline's great,
All right,
right?
here we go.
And don't you censor this. I know what you're trying to do, and that's why I'm
You
talking
caught
in
me, man. I'm
circles,
sorry.
brother. I'm talking in circles. But marketing strategy, one of the things, and LTD Media does a great job of this, by the way. They're an incredible group of folks. You got to get with them, man. But that's my plug, by the way.
Yeah,
I love LTD.
thank you.
But top of mind awareness,
Yes.
and that's what Cowboys haters have
Yeah.
all the time. They're thinking about
Yeah.
us Cowboys fans,
Yeah.
which makes me love
Yeah.
these people, and back to the love of the world around you and relationships. So here we are, like I said, full circle, man, relationships. And so we got to love it.
Yeah.
It engages people. It makes people, like you said, my son reached out to you, right?
Yeah. With
So-
a boo.
but he reached out.
Yeah,
And so that
yeah,
shows you
yeah.
that he's thinking about
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
hey, I love it.
Yeah. Hey, I don't hate on anything. I really don't. As a kid growing up, I've said this 1,000 times. We weren't allowed to use the word hate at all.
Okay.
My mother would not allow it, period. I might as well say any other word in the vocabulary. Hate was just, that's going to get you. And so if you're not allowed to hate something, seriously, I don't hate anything. I dislike stuff.
Okay.
I might have a severe, aversion to something, but I don't hate. I don't have that. I really don't. And I think
it's a
that's
very strong word.
It really is, and I think that's really I thank my mother for that. By the way, I'm not going to take any credit for that, but I really don't hate anything or anyone. I might despise a behavior.
Sure.
I might not like a food product.
Well, or the Cowboys, but that's
or the
okay.
Cowboys, but I don't hate it. Hey, for full disclosure, I'm a Bears fan, and we're still resting on 85, 86.
I was gonna say,
it's been a long time.
We're 29 years, since we've had a
the
deep
Bears
postseason.
Bears fans are the worst. They just cannot
Yeah.
move on. Like, I don't get it. And
Yeah.
poor Hayden. I mean,
Yeah.
he's such a committed individual to just
Yeah.
losing
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's just unfortunate. I have big hopes for the guy. I know that nail polish is the new move for their QB, so I think we're going to really see a lot of success. I think the nail polish is going to have a significant change on the spirals that come flying out of that man's hand.
Well,
So-
if it doesn't, I mean, at least it looks good on camera.
looks good, yeah. Photographs well.
I agree with you. The hate aspect, I say that jokingly, haters, right? But it's really, again, it's about it gives conversation.
Yeah.
It brings people that disagree on a lot of things in life, when they disagree about football or football's fans, or I mean, here's the truth, right? I don't own the Dallas Cowboys. I own zero stock in the Dallas Cowboys. I have no vested interest in the Dallas Cowboys performing well or not performing well. I mean, clearly, I've been a fan for
42.
No.
40,
I mean, true story. I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh.
and my grandfather used to call them the Pittsburgh Dummies. So this was in the 80s, and when Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett started playing for the Cowboys, I'm like, wow, those guys are studs, and that's when I became a fan. So mid 80s, but you know, we haven't seen a Super Bowl except on TV in 29 years, right? So I mean, my point is you know, but I'm still a fan. I mean, and it just gives you something, you know, like faith, right? Faith. You
till
believe
like December.
You know, where are our buttons for that guy in the camera?
We don't have it. We're gonna have to work
I got all the controls.
We're gonna have to work on that, bro. We're gonna have to work on that.
No
I'm
joke.
sorry. I mean, hey, that's a good amount of the year, right? What is it, like 4 months? August through roughly.
You know, they do. They perform well. I mean, I might get you know some naysayers after this, but you know, Tony Romo, very particularly, they call him a Hall of Fame quarterback, and his stats were great. But you know, I mean, I thought that they should have fired him after he dropped that snap against Seattle for that winning kick. You know, so every time it came time to do the job in the end of postseason or into the postseason, he choked, you know. I mean, but hey, I mean, otherwise, I mean, he was a great quarterback, just under pressure, you know. He just didn't perform like we'd want him to. But we could say that about every other NFL team in the in the league.
You know what astonishes me is we have the three of us here, right, in this conversation, and none of us are Arizona Cardinals fan.
Well, okay, but you're young. See, you're a young man. See, but many years ago in Tucson, Arizona, you were either a Cowboys fan or a Raiders fan because there was no such thing as the Arizona Cardinals. But these young kids, they don't know that. So,
and keep in mind that I grew up in Southern Illinois, and they were the St. Louis Cardinals.
Correct.
And they were historically Jim Hart. I remember Jim Hart and Dan Deerdorf and a couple of nice people, but they were historically bad. And the Bidwells had owned them. I think the Bidwells have owned them for like their whole existence.
So the Cardinals came to Arizona in 1988.
I was going to say late 80s.
Yeah.
And you know what? The people in St. Louis, they didn't cry a tear.
David, were you born yet?
No, he was not.
No.
Okay, thank you for the honesty.
1989.
Okay, well, see, so like I said, you don't know any better.
I should have came out of the womb though.
Cardinals
for
fan.
the Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happened.
Well, or Cowboys. I mean, are you a Cowboys fan?
Am I a Cowboys fan?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's fine. So who is your team that didn't make the Super Bowl?
We don't need to talk about that.
Oh, very good. So we can talk about the Cowboys and the Bears.
Go on.
Moving on.
Go on.
How come this guy? He's awful shy.
Hey, I have to direct this program, guys. We got to keep it. Okay, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. Okay, I liked them when they were in the Houston Oilers.
Didn't one of their quarterbacks kill somebody?
He did
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I'm pretty. Yeah. Okay.
Well, don't forget about Ray Lewis.
Well, what about
He was
Ray?
for the Baltimore Ravens. You remember that?
Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong.
He
set a lot of records.
You didn't hear about the murder thing?
No, that was hearsay.
Oh.
Yeah, that was hearsay.
Oh.
See, you can't
but at least they win, though.
Yeah.
You know?
At least they win. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we haven't been in the Super Bowl in a while, so I understand how you're coming after me on that one.
No, I'm not coming after you. I just want to make sure that.
You are.
When they were still the Oilers, they had a dude that was just awesome, and his name was Earl Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
That dude, he was...
Warren Moon.
Yeah, Warren Moon.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean...
Remember Bum Phillips was the head coach?
Yeah, him? Oh, yeah.
Wore a cowboy hat everywhere except in the Astrodome because his mama told him don't wear a hat indoors.
Yep.
Yeah, he was pretty legendary guy. So we're sitting here. Nobody's won a Super Bowl since in 29 years, I guess, because the Bears were pushing 40 years.
Yeah.
That was. I remember it well. That was for me. That team, 86, 85, 86, was the best football team ever assembled. And the sad
we got to move on.
Now the sad part.
We got to move on.
David,
we're done.
see, he didn't, and it wasn't based on their offense.
Every time they go back
their
to the
defense.
You guys remember back
incredible.
in 1985?
Here's what was sad: they didn't win. They only won one. They didn't. They just won one, and they were done. And I bumped into Theo Epstein.
I don't know who that is.
He's the
that?
general manager, president of the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, see,
right after they won the World Series after a 108-year drought, I bumped into him at spring training Sloanfield the next spring, and I thank you so much. This is awesome for my late father, all my family. We appreciate it, but get greedy. And what have they done since 16?
Well, he clearly didn't listen to you.
They did not listen to me,
no.
and he's not in with the Cubs anymore.
He probably thought when he saw you, hey man, who's this crazy guy
and
coming
my buddy,
at me?
our mutual friend Rick Peralt was with me. Like, Clint, you were stalking Theo. I'm like, well, he was sitting next to us. I wasn't stalking him, but I made sure to get in his face a little bit there.
Yeah, that's exactly what he thought. I got to exit stage left.
No, actually, you know what? He didn't. But he was sitting amongst the people, so it was okay. I figured it was okay to invade his space. Okay, let's jump back to local Marana. David, do you want to do any commercials real quick?
We're a little bit away from our required ad space, but one thing I did want to talk about that's really cool that we have going on for this summer is the local Marana subscriber platform on Facebook. So what we're going to do with the local Marana subscriber platform is when anybody subscribes to us, they pay a monthly fee to be part of it. But you get into a private group that only the subscribers can be in. And in that group is where cool discounts are going to be shared. With local businesses are going to give some discounts. There might be some free giveaways that come.
Hey, we're working on some stuff right now that's going to be really cool.
So it's just something to really pay attention to and subscribe. I know people are going to go, oh, you guys are charging $2 a month, but it's $2 a month. If you use the discounts and stuff that you're getting, you're going to get that back somewhere that you use it. And not only that, you're going to go support a small, independently owned local business here, and I think that's really important.
Well, and yeah, we're working on some stuff. Some of it I think would be really cool. Would get people's attention. That's where I want to jump in right now. I know I talk this way all the time, especially when we start talking local. But I cannot stress, at least my viewpoint, how important local businesses are. Mathematically, only 2% of all the businesses in the United States, 2.5% if you want to be exact, less than 3%, are corporate business, large corporations. So 97% of all the businesses, in other words, 50 small businesses for every one large business. Pick your I'll use Walmart since they're the biggest retailer in the history of man. Okay, how important are small businesses? They're like vital to our economy. They create most of the jobs. They create almost all the new stuff. The big guys gobble it up, but the small business. So you being a small business owner, myself being a small business owner, David being a small business owner, I want to get in there, get in the rut a little bit and talk about how important small business is. And it's become like everybody's talking about support local and it's like a catchphrase, but it's really not working like it should. We need government to get involved. We need the community to stay involved and turn it up, because here's the reality. Corporations it's great to go to a big store and cruise in and cruise out, but big corporations don't really give anything back to the community other than a nice tax base. That's a given. But the tax base would be there anyway if we could get and sustain the small businesses. So we're just deferring it, and it's running through the big corporations. Because the reality of it is, big corporations, the money doesn't stay in the community. It just doesn't.
No, it goes in pockets.
It goes in pockets, foreign and local and abroad, right?
Right.
So jump in here. Being a small business owner, I want you to shout out a few of your favorite small businesses, and then let's talk about some stuff of how we can improve supporting small businesses.
Well, man, this is kind of a touchy subject because, like you said, to get in the rut,
touchy.
Well, first, obviously, I believe in local business. I believe in small business, or I wouldn't be a small business owner of, like we just talked about, over 16 years. However, the catchphrase I believe is just that, right? Actually, I'm not going to be careful.
Don't. You don't have to be here.
So small businesses really do need the support of the community, and they need the support of the community by folks spending their hard-earned money in those establishments instead of just putting a poster out on the street and saying, yeah, shop local or support small business, because the vast majority of the corporate people are not spending their money in small businesses. And like you said, get the government involved. There are a lot of government agencies and municipalities that do not spend their money within their local businesses because, unfortunately, the corporations have a financial advantage to be able to discount or spread their losses over a vast majority of products, whereas a small business, a mistake costs money, and so that mistake then turns around and you have to increase. But the attraction for people to work in small businesses, the workforce, is the money. Because most corporations offer a far more extensive benefits package or something that's more attractive to lure that same workforce. And so we already have this diminishing workforce, thank you, COVID, that in my opinion has helped people to forget that work ethic is a thing that they need to work for. So, I mean, it's not even just a small business aspect for me. It's back to the workforce and trying to get people to want to work in those small businesses. Small businesses don't thrive, as much as they probably could because they can't, one, maintain a workforce, and two, they don't have the buying power to leverage themselves like the corporation. So it's kind of hard, and then it's almost like this war of attrition. Now you got these small business owners that are taking this leap of faith and mortgaging their houses or taking SBA loans, or maybe they had a big windfall from a loss of life or something, and then they invest their whole blood, sweat, and tears literally into something that they're passionate about, and then some corporate giant doing the same thing or the same avenue comes in and just steps on them. And then we the community don't rally behind them to say, hey, we're not going to let that happen.
I think a part of it this week, as we discussed, talking about local Marana, we need to be talking was the loss of another business here in the community, Monsoon, over here on
Thornydale. I didn't know.
Yeah. It was
shame on me.
Monday, David, that they announced that? Is that right?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, over the weekend. Monday.
I just had lunch there. Well, late lunch with my daughter about 2.5 weeks ago, and her boyfriend was one of the dishwashers that works there. 10
years. I didn't realize they'd been there that long.
Well, no, I did.
That flew by.
But and I remember where they came from, right? And they came from the corporate avenue to build Monsoons.
Yeah, I've said this numerous times on this show, and again, it's kind of a rut thing. It's more than putting up the sign or throwing out a slogan, support local. It's way more than that. That sounds great on the surface, but it's way more than that. We have to have governments become involved. I don't mean to create an unfair playing field, because that's not what I'm suggesting, but offer the incentives to help incentivize a small business owner the same way because a big corporation shows up and wants to come into town, you know what happens? We're offering a lot of incentives as a community to bring that in, because we know we're bringing in more jobs. But you said something about maybe they can pay a little more, and maybe they can. But I know for a fact in the small businesses that I've either been involved with, owned, or were aware of, the employees aren't employees; they're almost family. You take care of them.
Absolutely.
Like here, if anybody needs to do, matter of fact, the rule here is family first.
I've been preaching that my whole life.
Family first. Are we going to run into a little ad? And we're going to come back.
We'll continue that family first when we get back.
Thank you, David.
I like that.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net. We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles. Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
You all right there, Clint?
Yes,
You're on,
sir.
man.
I'm on?
Yeah, a low pause is like 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, I saw some commercials still playing.
Yeah, don't. So
I'm
this
fine.
screen here,
That's
I know
delayed.
this is the stream.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm back.
It's a little, we're just doing what we can, what we got.
So we left with families,
Family first.
family first. And you know what? That's part of the local. Because as a community, especially smaller communities like the one we live in, we're all family
You know,
to some degree.
I can't agree more. I was going to say disagree, but I can't agree more because the culture of innovative signs, right, which is my business. Our turnover rate is very low, not because we make the best signs in the world, and not because we pay the
Yes, you
best.
do.
Well, not because we pay the best in the world, not because we have the best benefits package, but it's because we treat each other like family. You and David probably have never, or if you have, it was in some sort of an educational platform, heard me refer to the people I work with as employees. I don't. I refer to them as the team.
The team, yeah.
I refer
My
to them
people.
as co-workers,
Yeah.
because that team is what built and has created innovative science sustainability. Corporate America doesn't look at the people that work there
No.
as a team. You are a
Employee
cog.
number.
You're a cog in a machine, and if you don't perform, then we're going to replace that cog, and it's pretty much that easy. Where family first, you take that approach. That's one of the reasons why people want to work. So kind of contradictory to me talking about the workforce being diminished and stuff with corporate America stealing them. Some people still want to feel important. They still want to feel that level of admiration and love, compassion, that corporate America doesn't offer. It just doesn't. It offers a paycheck, and you're trading a paycheck for that kind of, that kind of moral compass, if you will.
Now take everything you said and turn that into the community. Every word, you might use different words to describe it, but that's exactly what a community is. We're a combination of people, like a family, large family.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a different role. Everybody plays a different, has a different position to play. Everybody can bring something new to the table. And that's where communities flourish, when we're working together,
Right.
not competing. Hey, it's okay to compete with each other. I have no problem with competition, or I wouldn't have gotten the food service business,
Right.
right? The easiest threshold to cross to get into a business. more restaurants and food services than there are any other type of business.
Right.
But having said that, that doesn't mean we can't work together.
Right.
And you know what? I've tried. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to work because I want to leverage what I have with other people that might need similar stuff. And usually that's where maybe big corporations do have the advantage of us because it's not like we need to cooperate. We're just going to cooperate.
Right.
And if we could develop more of that mentality, is the more we win together, the more successful we are as a team. As opposed to me being able to win. Me being able to win by myself doesn't really benefit anybody other than me and whoever's playing.
It's a very short-term benefit.
Yeah. And that's why we wrote an article recently. It's in you'll find it in This is Marana. We'll try to get a link to it. But some heavy research was put into how successful communities. And it starts with the community. The community has to buy into it.
Sure.
You and I, as individuals, have to buy into it. And you know what? I was talking to I'll shout him out. He's a friend of mine. His name is Chuck Kennedy. He's on the production team at OVCN. And we were talking about this the other night. Chuck Kennedy pretty much buys local on all restaurant purchases that he makes. And he and his wife and family eat out a lot. They're retired.
Good.
And I was kind of like pushing him. I'm like, "Would you ever?" And he goes, "No." And he started rattling off all the local restaurants that he loves to go to, and he's willing to go to the new one. And I'm like, "You're a rare breed."
Yeah.
Because most people, my hands up occasionally, the convenience of a corporate drive-through, especially for food, wins on occasion. Now, I'm embarrassed sometimes to admit that, but it does happen.
Well,
not very often. I rarely, because you know what? They suck.
Well, I mean, even like that, like hardware stores, very specifically.
Yeah.
You were talking about shout out a couple of local businesses. There's a local business out of Marana on the corner of Anway and Aver Valley, and it's called Rusty Nail Hardware. We use them for any product that they sell, regardless of price, over Lowe's or Home Depot. And sometimes their prices are a little more, but again, or even the Aces. Aces is a big franchise. However, it's a franchise with the operators being local owners. I try to support like those type of businesses over the traditional Lowe's and Home Depots, just for the mere fact that the vast majority of that money is going to stay here in Marana. So, I mean, I hear you. I can't say that I've never shopped at a restaurant that has, a corporate chain because I'd be lying. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, chiming in. That's what that chime means.
Yeah.
Cody Tripp.
Cody!
He's in the chat. I don't know if you guys can read what he says. He says, always felt and still feel like family. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cody's a good dude.
Cody's a great dude.
Just wanted to...
And I see in the chat, my other brother, that's Chris Kelly. That's my brother.
These are beautiful people.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
Yeah. Cody, stop by, dude.
Hey,
I haven't
Clint.
seen you forever. Yes, talk to me.
So we're talking about the local business stuff, and I was wondering if you saw my little research article I did on thisismarana.com. It was about the service fee or the transaction fees, and I feel like people have to be curious about where that money was going, right? I mean, we had talked about the cost of it, but where was it really going? And, surprisingly enough, this is something. So
where are you at, David? Pop yourself in here.
So the other day I was at a local spot, and I'm not going to say the name just because of what happened with it, but I got my receipt, and what I'm starting to notice is these smaller establishments are now charging the customer for that full 3%. And then putting on the tip stuff. So for me, I was like, well, I felt like it was kind of inappropriate. I get why you're doing it. And, I did it that day, but it really compelled me to go and do some research on this and go, where's this money going? You know what the sad thing was that I found? The card guys like Visa and MasterCard, they're getting some, but most of it is going to the providers of the service, right? Your point of sale systems. So if you guys get a chance, listeners, to go and see this article, this is what the hidden costs in your wallet, an investigation into rising credit card transactions. So I used to be a cop, and sometimes I had to look into things, and this is one of those things I was like, I'm going to look into this. So if you get time, go and check that article out. It's kind of eye-opening in regards to local business. Everybody's feeling that. I'm sure Anton, you deal with those fees as well, and how you handle it might be different.
Well, I'd like to say how I handle it. I do not charge a transaction fee, and I do not charge an additional 3%, and I do not give a discount. I just eat it because at the end of the day, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to take care of the people that are taking care of the people that work under that roof.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
3% in the big scheme of thing. If I'm investing 3% into the workforce of innovative signs, that sounds like a great investment for me.
That's the way I do.
Right. I agree, man. I was kind of just surprised I saw that on the receipt, you know.
I remember when they started that, right? And my merchant processor way back, I mean, I'm talking 14, 15 years ago, and they said it is illegal for you to charge the additional 3%. They said, but what you can do is you can give a cash discount, right? And then now it's evolved where now they don't even care. It's like, hey, you don't have to give a cash discount. Just tell them, hey, if you're using a card, we're going to charge you an extra 3%.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why don't you just change your price, period?
Change your price point.
And let your price point, like, I'm not going to say which large retailer this is, but there's a very large retailer who has a very high theft rate. And this particular retailer does not pursue people that are stealing from their establishment. And instead, what they do is if you were to pay $10 for said item, after their quarterly losses are established, that same product that was $10 now becomes $11.39.
Yeah.
So they're pushing back their losses. And again, it's my choice whether to pay $11.39 for something I paid $10 for, 3 months ago. But at least they're not trying to just jab you one more time at the register, and that's kind of the way I feel.
Yeah. So one thing I got out of this little investigation I did was I came across some current antitrust scrutiny and lawsuits that are actually going on with these guys, and there is the possibility of some like legit relief coming for merchants on these transaction fees. The term used was an oligopoly, and it's kind of in the meantime, swipe fees are going to continue to be billions for merchant revenues, but there is possible relief as there are lawsuits that are active and it's going through the court system.
Good.
So I wanted to throw that in there.
You know, a lot of this to me, and David will know where I'm going when we start. If I'm shopping local, Rusty Nail, innovative signs, etc. Yours might be a little different because we're doing a lot of stuff with you.
Yeah,
it's not cash.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And we're doing a lot of stuff. Thank you very much and you know what? And you're killing it, Anton. Thank you, buddy.
I know. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You're making us look really good, and I think we're both making a little money out of it.
Yeah. Hey, okay. I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, but shopping local, I want to pay cash. If I'm tipping my waiter or waitress anywhere, I'm paying cash. That's just hard rule. We wrote a small article about this. That's why I think education is so important. We wrote a small article about this to say, hey, especially local, and we got hammered by a few people that commented on this article about you're trying to beat the tax man, as if there was actually something wrong with that, by the way.
Right.
But that's not the purpose. My purpose is if I give you a $50 bill as my barber, let's say, I'm going to pay for my $20 haircut with a $50 bill. If 3% of that disappears every time if I'm using a card, and he or she goes to the dry cleaner, and then they come to Innovative and then to Copper Creek, how long do you think before that 50 is actually gone?
Right.
It's evaporated.
And not because any one of those establishments put it in their pocket.
No. It went somewhere off into cyberland and some corporate entity. Not that I own stock in corporations, public companies, so I'm not opposed to getting paid a dividend or my stock increasing. But on the same token, that $50, if we're sharing it, let's keep that in the community.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Clint, I was pretty taken back on the responses you got from that article and from that video. More people were against the idea than were for in the comment section. Now, that might not be the viewership.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was just, I was really taken back, and I can't help to use the word brainwashed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Old school mentality, right? Old school mentality, cash is king. New school mentality is, hey, let me tap this stupid phone thing and let somebody else deal with my money. I mean, that's probably a whole nother podcast. But
David just this morning shared what happened yesterday on the LTD corporate card to pay for some.
Let's not say the brand name.
No, I won't say any brand names. But no, I absolutely wouldn't say any brand names.
Right,
but we got tapped. I mean, this is all electronic. This is computers talking to computers, and a sizable amount of money was going to be debited to our account. In other words, we owed them thousands for something we'd already paid for. Now, David was quick to the trigger. It was a glitch, but the reality of it is that doesn't happen if we're exchanging cash.
Right.
No, well,
right.
And
Exactly.
It's ironic that you say that. I want to share this just because it's funny. That
I
you
wouldn't
brought it up
say
for
a
yesterday.
name, David. We love those people, by the way, but they screwed up.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say a name either. But yesterday morning, I walk into Innovative and I look at this email from some company that we owed thousands of dollars to, and I'm telling them, hey, okay, well, here I'll give you a partial payment today, and then I'll give you the remainder of the balance, either Friday or Tuesday because we're closed Monday for the federal holiday. And we're going to remember those people that allowed us to sit here and have small business conversation. But and then about 10 minutes later, I'm on the phone with this accounting person, and Cindy, my office administrator, walks in, and she hears me talking to this lady, and she says, no, Anton, what are you talking about? She's like, here's the receipt that I just paid them, I'll just use a number, $7,400 on Friday. And so I said, well, wait a minute. You're asking me for some money, and I just authorized you to debit my account another $5,000 today. And the lady's like, oh, I see that the payment has made. I was like, me too, because it cleared my bank. She's like, well, we just haven't posted it to your ledger yet. So let me redo that. I'm like, and I said very politely to this lady, why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Why don't you figure out what's really going on before you send me an email and tell me that you're going to...
A threatening email, I'm sure, or at least hostile.
It was, and it basically said, hey, we're going to put your account on hold until we resolve this. And then, oh, by the way, the full balance that was due between the $7,300 paid on Friday and the $5,000 I had agreed had overpaid what was needed. So I'm like, listen here, folks. So it's just crazy you're talking about that today.
I'm old enough to remember when no one really had a credit card.
I'm not.
I remember that. There was a card called the Diner's card that you could check me on this. It probably came out in the 50s. Came out in the 50s, and it was primarily for salesmen. There weren't saleswomen, salesmen that traveled. And you could use it for restaurants and or maybe a hotel room. But the vast majority, my mom owned, and my mom and dad owned a small country grocery store. Actually, they ran credit.
So I got some history on this thing.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was on a piece of cardboard. So if we want to get that, and it was in February of 1950.
Okay.
Which would be why, Anton and I haven't really.
Well, I wasn't. I was born in the 50s, but not.
I wasn't even thought about. My mom wasn't thought about.
It says a man named McNamara. Does that sound familiar to you, Clint?
McNamara
paid with a small cardboard card known today as the Diners Club card.
Yeah.
When this happened, it was hailed as the first supper, paving the way for the world's first multi-purpose charge card.
Uh-huh.
That's a cool story. See, I love these podcasts because you learn something new every day.
And but still even probably late 70s, MasterCard and Visa started becoming a thing. But it was always it was corporate. The average person didn't really have one. They still wrote checks. People still wrote checks.
I still write checks.
I don't think we write checks for anything except to MPB. I think that's the only check that we write. They haven't come into the new.
I write payroll checks too.
Yeah, we don't. But having said that, but the average person probably didn't have the average mom and dad family probably didn't have a credit card until in the early mid 80s. There was corporate cards, Joe Smith. With whatever company he was with, would pay for his hotel room and maybe a meal, gas, stuff with the cards. But people wrote checks. I can still see checks on like grocery stores and places where people had bounced a check
Oh, yeah, and they put you on blast.
Your check was up there.
The
Wasn't
wall of
many.
shame.
Wasn't many, but somebody'd have a check up there, and don't check.
Y'all remember when the health department did that to businesses, small businesses that were open during COVID? The wall of shame.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I had to go down that road. My bad. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But don't put somebody's card. Nobody's writing a check. Nobody writes checks anymore. Do you get checks? You might get a few checks.
I get a few.
Business.
Well, I do, but it's usually those automated bill pay checks, like from a customer or something like that.
Which means they've cleared.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's part of the decay of society right there. A man's word or woman's word meant whatever it meant. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you $50. They write a check. Think about it. You're writing a piece of paper, and I'm handing it to you, and that's paid. That doesn't work very well anymore.
No.
That's why cards have shifted. And David, I was like you to go back to where we kind of jumped into this conversation. I was a little bit shocked that we caught a little heat from that. Matter of fact, we took the post down. We didn't want to call out the restaurant that we had shopped at. And it wasn't a sizable amount. I don't know, maybe including tip, it was $50-$60, and we were trying to make a point that I did math real quick in my head. I think in Marana alone, just in small businesses, we as a community probably spend $12 to $15 million. Anybody that wants to check my math, you're welcome to do so. I might be way off. I think it's at least that. We spend $12 to $15 million in small businesses in the town of Marana processing cards. And wouldn't it be cool to have that 12 to 15 million in our local economy as opposed to off in some corporate banker's account or something?
I mean, I'd even like to go as far as saying, hey, what about if we could take 1.5% of the 3% and make it go directly back to the school districts?
Exactly.
Or, some sort of a vocational program for these young people. Because, oh, by the way, all of the listeners, most of the listeners are like-minded people or they wouldn't be listening. But, and some of the naysayers, this is actually for you. But, wouldn't it be cool to have some workforce people that are actually trained and can do more than almost tie their shoes?
Yeah.
Because the truth is that I'll be 45 next week. Clint, you're a little older than me. David, you're a little younger. But I feel bad for these young people.
We've let them down.
Coming out of these schools, and they are less than ill prepared for what the real world is going to do to them. And if we could find a way. Some of the teachers, they say, well, it's because we're underfunded, and that might be true. But if we could take some of that $12 to $15 million, specifically Marana being one of the fastest growing smaller communities in the Western U.S., $12 million, $6 million could have a significant impact on helping these young people. Like, I don't necessarily want it to go back in my pocket, but let's invest in the same community. Yeah. We're talking about family first. Well, back to the community. Let's treat the community as our family and really embrace them, because these young people, boy, I feel bad for them.
I'm going to jump in here real quick, and I don't have specific numbers, but I got general numbers. You talked about financing, and it does take money to do things. There's no question about it. But I know Arizona, the average in public schools, it's $14,000 to $16,000 a year is what we spend per child in a public school here in Arizona. In Washington, D.C., they spend over $30,000 per student. Where both of them rank at the bottom. So I would argue money is way down the list of reasons for failure in our education system. I have a good friend. His name is Christopher DeSimone. I don't know if you've ever met Chris.
I love this. Chris, I hope you're listening to this show.
But he sat right there in that seat about a year and a half ago and threw some numbers at me that blew me away. Our kids can't read. They certainly can't do math, or we wouldn't be getting hate. And people, that's what it was. I used the word that I'm not supposed to use, but we wouldn't be getting what are you doing messages if there wasn't propaganda that had been taught to our kids. David shares his story when he was growing up and going to high school over here. Basically, they taught you how to get in debt. And oh, by the way, that was a specifically designed program by the bankers in the early 20s to get people into debt, and it started with the car companies. And it started with Chrysler, and J.P. Morgan sat down and had a little meeting. Chrysler couldn't sell cars because he couldn't compete with Henry Ford, who was killing it by paying his workers a good wage and they were turning out a great car, right? These are historical facts.
Yeah.
And Morgan says, well, how about if we just give it to them for free and we'll finance it and they'll pay for a new car the rest of their lives, which is what most people that, especially if you're buying new cars, guess what? You stay in debt for a new car your whole life. Mm-hmm. They've now taken that everybody has to own a home. Well, that sounds great on the surface, but not everybody needs to own a home.
Right. And not everybody that owns a home can afford to take care of the home.
And the homes, as a kid when I was growing up, fact, I'm just speaking in facts. These are really not opinions. As a kid growing up in the 70s, the average home was 1,600 square feet. And families of 4, 6, 8, 12 people grew up in the same house.
Yep,
and then the house got rendered down, if you will, or shared inside the family. A kid inherited that. People didn't have mortgages. And the banks, well, wait a minute. How about if we just home ownership, something that's American dream? How about we do that, right?
Right.
Now we're running that cycle. People stay in a house 5 to 7 years, which means, you know what? They never pay off a home.
Right.
Most people are under a mortgage, right? And then what we do when we get older and we don't have enough cash, you know what we do? We do the reverse mortgage. Thank you, Tom Selleck. And you still don't own your home.
Right.
Yeah, the American dream, baby.
There's the American dream. And David alerted me to that. Christopher D. Simone alerted me to that with conversations we've had in this room about how this whole thing has played out. And it's like, I'm going to go down hard right now on these guys. The bankers are out to get your money, every last nickel of it. And if there's anything left, the politician to take what's left over.
Dang. Whoa. He went off.
I don't know what to say. Hey, David, how you doing in there,
good.
buddy?
Hey, so we got like a couple minutes left, and I just want to ask a couple of random weird questions because I always like to do something quirky at the end of the
Oh, here we go.
All right. Any idea what a group of crows is called?
I know this.
Crows?
No. Hang on.
Did you say crows?
Yeah, that's what I got, man.
No. I know this. It's something crazy.
That was your answer, Anton.
No, they are. A group of crows is still crows. I mean, semantics.
No,
but that's
Full
what they are.
transparency, I didn't know the answer to this until I looked it up.
What are they called? I know this.
Let's see. Anybody in the chat? I know there's people watching.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's see.
It's something
Anybody in the chat
crazy.
know? And if you want to Google, that's fine. I totally understand. But
It's something crazy.
it is. It was really crazy. I was like, wait, what? How do we?
Oh, I know what it's called. Now that you told me, I remember what it is, and you didn't see me picking my phone. It's called a murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
As soon as you told me, I remembered this. But
That is
I think
right.
I learned that in like 4th grade or something, man.
Yeah,
That's a long time ago.
Man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. You knew that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And you saw I didn't pick up my phone.
No, you didn't.
Nobody
I was
sent me
watching you like a
telepathy,
hawk,
but
dude. Yeah, no, I was watching
I
you,
like
man.
what you did there,
All right,
like a hawk.
All right. Here is the last one. Okay, and then we'll get moving on. Why is honey a convenient pantry staple?
Because it never goes bad.
What do you think, Clint?
I think that's right.
You guys are correct. Yeah. Ooh, good job. You
Now,
guys should be real proud of
I had
yourself.
an unfair advantage because one of my customers is Chris Brenton, who has a honey farm, has been harvesting honeybees in Picture Rocks forever.
Okay,
but
all right. We'll see how in tune you are with your own self here. You ready? Last one. I got one more for you.
I'm
you
going
guys are
to
so
fail
good.
this one.
All right. What are the 5 senses?
Visual, touch, smell, and
Hearing.
hearing.
Hearing. Okay,
Yeah.
we got hearing. All right. Good.
Sight,
Sight.
smell, touch,
Taste.
and taste.
Boom. And another one.
Hey, man.
Now we got kindergarten material
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Hey, look, man.
Shout out.
Hey, and you know what? I bet you if you asked kids coming out of high school today any of these questions, they wouldn't be able to answer them.
Okay.
You guys are smart. Okay, one more. Here we go.
Okay.
Because you want to go after that one. How many bones are in the human body?
108.
No, it's more than that, I think.
I think it's 104. It's 104 or 108, somewhere in there.
What do you got, Clint?
I was thinking it was more than that, but I don't know.
Clint, you're right. It is more than that. So.
I was thinking 193 or something like that, 192.
Okay. Well, Clint, you're the closer one. It's 206 bones.
Okay.
That's what I said. 108 times 2, man.
All right, let's end in message here. So what do we want people to do this summer? You want them to go to local businesses?
I do. I want them to go out. I want this to become a habit. I think a lot of this is habit. I think this is, I know it's habit. We've created habits. We've created things in our routines. We've created ruts, to go back to that word. We do it out of a lot of stuff. We do out of convenience. Take yourself out of, we preach this all the time. You do too. Take yourself out of that comfort zone every now and then.
Yeah.
Try a new restaurant. Try a new place of business. Go drive a different way to work. I try to drive a different way, so take yourself out of that routine. Go support local. I mean, really mean it. Don't just wave the flag. And I also want to give Anton, your birthday is next Wednesday, a week from today.
That is correct.
You'll be a ripe young age of 45.
45, yep.
Just remember, in 20 years, you still won't be
Just
as old as I
gun.
am right now.
Yeah.
Just a young gun.
Well, if I'm just a young gun, then that means that, well, sir, I'm going to be nice to you, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I want to add one thing as we close the podcast, right? Before we close, I should say. Folks, you got to get involved in your community. Mm-hmm. You need, I'm not telling you need to go to church, but you need to go to church. you need to go and tell your neighbors to get back to the foundational principles of what the Bible tells you. Because if we could do that, right, as a community, oh, what a world this would be.
Oh, happy day.
Right. I mean, love is not just a word. Love is something that you're commanded to give to folks. And instead of the person that cuts you off and you cuss them out and flip them off, what about if that was an old lady who might have just thought that the car next to her was coming into her lane? Or what if it was a distracted mom because the baby's having a seizure in the back? I mean, what if it was nothing? If it was just somebody being careless? I mean, I would challenge everybody that's listening to answer this question. Have you ever done something careless or reckless? And when you answer the answer yes, then the next question is, did anybody cuss you out and flip you off, and how did it make you feel? I'm not saying I'm into everybody's feelings and people's feelings having more, your feelings are not more important than mine, but man, if we could just get rid of a little negativity and give a little more love, man, we'd be in a lot better place.
Yeah, I'll shout that out. A little more positivity. Show each other a little more mercy, a little more grace.
Yeah. We're commanded to do so. At least the God I serve, that's what it says.
Well, even if you're not into that, which we are,
right?
You still should show people a little mercy, a little grace.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we don't have to be mad at each other all the time. Hey, let's close it with that.
Yeah.
Be nice to each other.
Hey, one thing too, guys. Statistic-wise, we are already at 106 views of this morning.
Beautiful.
So just on one platform. So this is it's really starting to take off. So listeners, we appreciate you. Viewers, we appreciate you so much.
We love you.
Hey, God bless you, folks.
Hey, and thanks, Cody and crew.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me, Clint.
Hey,
thank you for having me, David.
Shop local.
Shop Marana.